Great segment for you because Mike Zullo, the former lead investigator of the Obama fraud birth certificate case out of the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office under former Sheriff Joe Arpaio, is in the house. Mike Zullo, it's good to have you with us, man.
Carl, how are you this afternoon?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Just the crazy preacher, the liar, the guy that sits up here and lies for 15 years.
Yeah, I know. You got to stop that, man. Repent, brother. Repent.
I know. I need to repent. Anyway, if we take up a larger offering here, then anyway, that's another. Hey, let's do this, Mike. I want to play that clip again. I don't know if you heard it earlier, but I played the Matt Gaetz clip earlier. So, folks, if you weren't listening during the first 30 minutes, the first segment, again, go to carlgallups.com tomorrow, click on the Freedom Friday link. You can listen to this whole show, and you can listen to that. But let me just set this up, Mike, very quickly. It's a 1-minute clip. A-Dog's going to push the button for us. But here's the deal. So, Matt Gaetz, congressman from Florida, 1st District, was on Sean Hannity last night, Fox News, along with Representative Jim Gordon out of Ohio. Republican. And they were talking about the Trump dossier case, Mike, which is, you and I know, well, the whole nation pretty much knows now, this is one of the biggest frauds ever perpetrated upon the United States of America. But you and I know why. It's not the biggest crime that America has ever had perpetrated against it. The birth certificate is. And this dossier case goes directly to the birth certificate, I think, and I'll let you say what you want about that in a moment. But here's the point. I want you to play that clip, A-Dog, because you're going to hear Sean Hannity ask Representative Matt Gaetz, who I know personally, and by the way, he has been briefed on a lot of this birth certificate information. He has the information. We're going to see what happens. But listen to his outrage. Listen to what he says when Sean Hannity asks him about their investigation into the dossier. Hannity says, I think people are going to lose their jobs. People are going to get in trouble over this. And then Matt Gaetz says, oh, no, people are going to jail over this. Y'all listen to this.
It sounds to me like a lot of people, Congressman Gaetz, need to be fired and investigated.
That's right. I think that this will not end just with firings. I believe there are people who will go to jail. I was very persuaded by the evidence, and it also became clear to me why Chuck Grassley and Lindsey Graham felt it so important to refer this matter for criminal prosecution. You don't get to try to undermine our country, undermine our elections, and then simply get fired. So I think there will be criminal implications here, and we have to underscore the point that you and Jim Jordan just made. Every single Democrat on the Intelligence Committee voted against even allowing other members of Congress to see this information. So they're going to fight against release to the American people. What are the Democrats so afraid of? Why don't they want the American people to know the truth about what was going on with the government, how that impacted the president, his transition, his campaign? And it just seems interesting to me that Democrats don't want us to know what the entire basis was in the first place.
Okay, Mike Zullo, that's powerful. I mean, did you hear what he said? Knowing what you and I know, when he said, why every Democrat on the Intelligence Committee voted against releasing this, what is it they don't want America to know? Well, see, the congressmen, they're focusing on the dossier, Mike, but you and I know what it is the Democrats, they don't want them to know. So I'm just going to hush. Why don't you just delve into this? Because it's all so deeply connected, and you're sitting on top of this information. Gaetz knows it. Gaetz is outraged. He says people are going to jail over the dossier thing, but just wait until you go to Washington and sit down in front of a congressional committee. There are people probably going to go to jail over this, Mike. You just dump it all out there.
Well, Carl, if you take just what you highlighted, he said, which was, I was making a note as you were saying it, that he said to me that really connects it all together. You've got one side of the aisle just hell-bent on keeping everything a secret. They take the same playbook that they used with the Obama certificate, and they're trying to use it here. Nothing to see here. Don't release anything. Don't tell anybody anything. Why would you do that? Where's the transparency? You can't be transparent when you're guilty. And the problem that they have with this thing is it goes all the way back to that birth certificate.
Yes.
When Arpaio launched that investigation, it was problematic for them. They didn't think the investigation was going to get the legs that it got. And then as that investigation unfolded, and then as your audience is well aware, we got hooked up with a CIA informant who had information on the deep state, on all the hacking and spying on American citizens, spying on the President of the United States when he was a businessman. We released that on your show.
Right.
We had so much information now, it really became problematic, not only for Obama, but it became problematic for the deep state.
Right.
Because we had stumbled into something that they didn't think was ever going to be brought to light.
Yep.
They were counting on the fact that they believed wholeheartedly that Trump would lose, and they had Hillary Clinton as president. No one would pull the covers down or pull the covers off of the atrocities that they have committed.
Mm-hmm.
Now they had a problem. Trump is in the White House. They have to, quote, trump up some charges against him so they can keep this facade going to justify the illegal activities that took place, i.e., the illegal spying on him using falsified information to a FISA judge. Well, we had information about falsified affidavits to judges to get search warrants during our criminal investigation involving that CIA informant. So when you start to wrap this all together, I'm telling you, this is a reach back.
Yes.
This is almost unheard of in our government to reach back in time now and start to look at malfeasance, start to look at, because malfeasance goes on the part of any Republican or Democrat that may have known this was going on, i.e. John McCain. People knew this was going on. No one said anything.
Yeah, Jeff Miller.
Malfeasance of duty. You have people committing criminal activities, illegal activities, and that's never really been done. Well, that's being done now. And I am going to tell you, mark my words today, all roads lead back to Obama. And when it starts going that way, it's just a matter of time before they get to this big question that's been burning. What about that birth certificate?
Yeah. Well, no, you're absolutely right, Mike, because the things that you said, we know. You knew that years ago. In fact, you were using the word earth-shattering and universe-shattering. And by the way, there are still elements of this that you've not released to anybody that are even more earth-shattering and universe-shattering. But you have released the fact that, that what you knew from the CIA informant about spying on Donald Trump, spying on Chief Justice Roberts, spying on Sheriff Arpaio, spying on conservative talk radio, Alex Jones people, and what's the guy, Michael Savage, and all these different people. You had the information. You knew it. And not only did you know it, but you also knew about the possibility of them, the deep state, breaking into and breaching state Department of Elections services and I mean departments. And then of course along came the midterm elections. I think it was in Obama's last year when Georgia came out and announced publicly, it was in mainstream media, that the DHS was spying on them, had breached their election system during the election. You remember all that, Mike? But see, you knew all of that. You knew that. And so now we're listening last night to U.S. congressmen, several of them sitting up there saying people are going to go to jail over this dossier thing. But you and I know why the dossier thing was going on, who was behind it, and what it was all about. And it goes right back to the birth certificate. They've got to protect the fact that the deep state put a man in office on fake identification to run our military.
Well, Carl, think about it like this. The Obama administration was tagged by the media as the most lawless administration ever in history. Most lawless. The constitutional violations that went on there, the illegal activities that have gone on there, they're just astounding. You really can't wrap your head around it. But he got a pass because of race relations and other things that they used against anyone that brought up any charge against him. They came down and they put the clamps on. But when you go back and you start to think about this, and I think I may have said this on your show a couple times, that I believe that birth certificate is the foundational lie to the presidency of the United States.
Yep.
But I also believe it was used to instill what I will call the gatekeeper. This guy was in there to open up the floodgates, to take this country to a far left agenda, because this country was starting to look like nothing you and I ever grew up in.
Right.
And I believe that was part of the mission. And they were going to continue that on with Hillary and whatever else they had planned to do at that point in time.
Yes.
So this document is paramount to the illegal activities that have gone on. Now, if you're going to come back and you're going to say Obama knew about the surveillance because he had to have known, because his White House knew, he had to have known that illegal surveillance was going on. This is let me just think about this. This is someone who has predetermined to allow illegal activity to go on. He's already showing in his nature that this is okay by him because the ends justify the means. Do you really think making a phony PDF file is something that these people wouldn't do?
Yeah.
Of course they would.
I mean, considering everything we know now about the deep state, the dossier, FusionGPS, the DNC, the Hillary Clinton machine, the Obama machine, I mean, even the Bush machine involved in all of this. I mean, can you imagine a PDF? Forging and building from a blank template a necessary PDF because a man by the name of Donald Trump back in 2010 was sticking his finger in the president's face because he had a big pulpit. He was a TV star. Do you think building a fake PDF would have been any big deal for these people? No. That's the point you're making. I mean, it's just, good gosh. I wonder when America's going to wake up and understand that you have been on top of this all along. You're sitting right on top of the foundational crime of American history.
Well, unfortunately, people only realize that when they look in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, I know.
It's something that you uncover in the past and nobody makes any hay of it, and then all of a sudden it has prominence because it has some relevancy or it's important to whatever is going on at some point in the future. People are going to get it. They're going to get it. Now think about it. Arpaio starts to say, hey, I've been illegally wiretapped. We have this evidence of spying on American citizens. We know it's the government. And what do? They try to make a mockery of that in a civil, unrelated proceeding, which was a private lawsuit. It wasn't the government on that immigration trial that he went through. It was a private matter. And they did it out in open federal court. They made efforts to seize all the information under subpoena. They sent me subpoenas to seize my information. Why would you go through all that if everything he's telling you is garbage?
Right. And if everything they're saying is the truth, why would you do that? And the thing that they were counting on, once they decided the only thing they could get him on was a misdemeanor contempt of court charge, and even you and I think that was baloney, but they did, and they just knew Hillary Clinton was going to go in office. And if she did, Arpaio was going to be in jail. You would have been shut down. I would have been shut down. And they would have wrapped it up, tied the bow, and moved on with destroying this nation. But then Donald Trump won the presidency. That's what FusionGPS and the dossier is about.
Well, Carl, think about this, too. They make these statements that because of these supposed, alleged Russian ties that Trump has, which he doesn't, but they say he does, they say he's blackmailable. Well, let me ask you this. If you were partied to creating a phony birth document for the purposes of instilling someone in the highest office in the land and pulled it off, isn't that a blackmailable document? Isn't that a control document? Could you not pull that document out at any time and expose it for the fraud it is just to get this guy out of the way if he goes renegade on you?
Yeah.
You can do all kinds of things with it.
No, that's exactly that, and that's exactly what's behind this. And there's only so many ways you and I can say this. We've been saying it, screaming it, saying it, and screaming it. And now I think people are getting it more and more because it's unfolding right before their eyes. Mike, we're going to have to take a quick time out. When we come back, I want you to continue this conversation because you've got more to say about it. You have more insight and more office Gulf Coast Talk Radio. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. More with Mike Zullo. I mean, after listening to Mike Zullo and I speak about this, some of you are going, oh, I get it now. Now the picture's coming together. Mike Zullo, so here's the deal. So now Sheriff Arpaio has been pardoned. He is out there doing his life. Now he's running for U.S. Senator out of Arizona. He's right back in the news. He's right back on CNN, ABC, NBC, MSNBC, Fox News. He's right back in the media doing his Sheriff Arpaio thing, running for United States Senator. And in the meantime, the media, what do they focus on? The birth certificate. And, oh, you're that birther. And, boy, he shoots him down. He said, I'd never say anything about where he's born. We're just looking at a fake document. Oh, well, that's been debunked. That's been taken care of. That's been settled. And I'm going to let you speak to that in a moment because mainstream media is doing that every day. But here's the illustration I use, Mike. I tell people, you know how stupid that is when the media says that? Let me tell you, folks, watch this. Now, you're going to see clearly now, okay? That's why we just played that song. Here's how stupid that is for the media to say it's been debunked. That's like, Mike, if I'm back in my law enforcement days and I'm running an investigation on a counterfeit ring, and I catch the dude, I seize all of his equipment, all of his counterfeit bills, all of his documents. I seize it all. I've got the information, hard copy information. I've got it. I take it. I send it into forensics laboratories, one on one side of the world, one on the other. They write me back affidavit saying, "Oh yeah. This is all fake. This guy's counterfeiting bills." It says, and so I take it all up to the district attorney's office, and the district attorney looks at me and says, "Oh, we're not going to prosecute that. That's been debunked." And I say, "Well, what do you mean it's been debunked?" And he said, "Well, he's been using the bills and everybody's accepting them, so it's debunked."
Yeah.
I mean, that's the same thing with this birth certificate. It's like, well, he put it on the White House website and everybody believes it, so that's been debunked. But it hasn't been debunked. Tell people about that, Mike.
No, it hasn't been debunked. As your audience is well aware that we have forensic document expert analysis of the document, and it is a fraudulent document. It has been merely created to give an illusion of something that's real, but it is not a birth certificate. And there has not been any forensic expert on the other side come out with documented evidence, documented report, and methodology and say, no, this PDF file is sound. There is no one. And no one can say that, because unless you can prove that it is a copy of an authenticated original document, it is literally nothing.
Yes.
And even if it was a copy, it is still not a birth certificate. And you have to think of it like this. In all those court challenges that Obama spent, it's reported $1 to $3 million on, and Perkins Coie is the law firm. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, connected to FusionGPS and the dossier. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. They're the guys over there defending this thing, and at no time did they ever come in with a bona fide long form from the state of Hawaii that they could hand a judge and go, Your Honor, there is nothing to see here. This is the actual document, and that PDF file is nothing more than a copy of it.
Yeah.
They never did it. It would be so easy to do. But instead, they try to defend this indefensible document by never bringing it into court, trying to submit a copy of the PDF file, which judges were just laying down to accept because nobody wanted to go there.
Yeah.
But it's never been debunked. That's fake news from the media, fake news.
It's never been settled. It's never been debunked any more than if a district attorney told me, well, because the guy's using counterfeit $100 bills and because everybody likes it and they're taking them, then it's all debunked. Carl, your investigation is trash. It's all been settled. The guy can keep using his fake $100 bills. I mean, that's an Alice in Wonderland upside-down world. But that is exactly what's happening with the birth certificate. And again, I'm going to say, Mike, so they thought they had it made. They thought Hillary Clinton was going in. They were going to put Obama. They were going to put Arpaio in prison. They were going to delegitimize you completely, me and everything else. It would all go away. And then Donald Trump walks into the White House, and along comes the Russian dossier and investigations and all kind of obfuscation. And it's all because of the birth certificate, because that's the crime of the ages. Because if the CIA was involved in developing that, and we do know they breached Hawaii's Department of Health, but we know it's a fake, and we can prove it's a fake. So somebody, deep state, was involved in installing a man in the White House. And how do we know they didn't rig elections? Well, now we know that they can. They installed a man in the White House to run our military and to run our economy for 8 years, and then they were getting ready to install Hillary Clinton right behind. That's what this is all about. They did it on fake ID, and they don't want the world to know. That's what the dossier is about, Mike.
Well, and Carl, I mean, all you have to do is step back now and just take a look. How much money did they airdrop under the cover of darkness, cash, to Iran?
Yeah.
Where did that money come from?
Yeah.
You can't get $20 billion for a wall, but they could amass a fortune, stick it on a C-130, and drop it off in Iran?
Yeah.
Come on.
To never be seen again?
And nobody's asking any questions.
Yeah. I know. Mike, we're out of time. Good gosh, we're just out of time.
Okay, Carl.
I know. I can't believe it. Every time you and I are on the air, there's a little gremlin that just speeds the clock up. But listen, thank you for your appearance today. So much more. Folks, this stuff's in the headline news Fusion GPS. Well, I'm here to tell you Fusion GPS is about the birth certificate. I promise you. Oh my gosh. Mike, thanks for being on. We'll have you on again soon.
The Satanists wanted to install their own tribute, a pagan idol, on the Capitol grounds, right next to the Ten Commandments.
Billions around the planet are witnessing a world in the grasp of sadistic spiritual darkness. This unholy alliance has infected our governments, our religious institutions, and our societies. The world appears to be unraveling. But can the evil behind these dark supernatural forces be defeated? Is everything playing out just as the Bible predicted it will in the final days? At last, you can know the answers to mankind's most urgent questions and learn your destiny among today's events in the new, unprecedented work taking the prophecy world by storm. Gods and Thrones, Nakash, Forgotten Prophecy and the Return of the Elohim by best-selling author, former decorated law enforcement officer, and senior pastor Carl Gallups. This changes everything. Available now wherever fine books are sold.